The Enigma of the Silent Benefactor. On a brisk autumn morning, the small town of Willow Creek stirred to life. Sunlight pierced through the amber and crimson leaves, painting the cobblestone streets with golden hues. At the heart of the town, the marketplace buzzed with activity, a hub of chatter and laughter. Among the familiar faces, one man remained a puzzle to all: the Silent Benefactor. For years, whispers of his acts of kindness rippled through the community, anonymously paying off medical bills, leaving envelopes of cash for struggling families, and ensuring the homeless found warm beds on the coldest nights. His generosity was undeniable. Yet his identity remained cloaked in mystery. Speculations ran wild. Some claimed he was an eccentric millionaire living in isolation. Others believed he was an ordinary man with an extraordinary heart. One recipient of his kindness was Clara, a single mother who owned the town's modest bakery. 2 years prior, when her shop faced closure due to mounting debts, a letter arrived in her mailbox. Inside was a check that covered all her arrears, with a note that simply read, "Keep baking joy." To this day, she had no idea who her benefactor was. As winter approached, a peculiar event stirred the town's curiosity even further. In the middle of the night, a large oak tree in the town square was adorned with tiny lanterns, their warm glow casting magical shadows across the cobblestones. Beneath the tree was a small box wrapped in brown paper and tied with twine. The next morning, townsfolk gathered around the mysterious package. On the box, written in elegant cursive, was a note: "For Willow Creek, a gift of hope." Inside were thousands of dollars in crisp bills, neatly stacked. But the most striking discovery was a single gold coin, engraved with the image of a phoenix rising from flames. The coin was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Speculations grew rampant. Who would give such a gift? And what was the significance of the coin? As the days turned into weeks, the story reached a reporter named Daniel Harper, who worked for a regional newspaper. Intrigued, Daniel traveled to Willow Creek, determined to uncover the truth about the Silent Benefactor. Daniel was a tenacious journalist, known for his ability to unearth secrets. He began his investigation by interviewing the townsfolk. Clara recounted the mysterious check. An elderly couple spoke of their hospital bills being paid, and a young artist described finding art supplies at his doorstep during his most desperate hour. One evening, while sipping coffee at Clara's bakery, Daniel noticed a man sitting alone by the window. He was unassuming, dressed in a weathered coat and a scarf that seemed older than the man himself. He had a book in his hands, but appeared to be more absorbed in the world outside the window. Something about the man piqued Daniel's curiosity. He approached cautiously. "Mind if I join you?" Daniel asked. The man looked up and smiled faintly. "Of course, have a seat." "I'm Daniel Harper, a journalist," Daniel said, extending his hand. "Nice to meet you," the man replied, shaking it. His grip was firm, his hands calloused. "I'm Thomas." Thomas seemed ordinary in every way, yet there was a warmth about him that Daniel couldn't ignore. They spoke for hours, mostly about the town, its history, and the sense of community that made Willow Creek special. But when Daniel steered the conversation toward the Silent Benefactor, Thomas's demeanor shifted ever so slightly. "Why are you so interested in finding him?" Thomas asked, his tone measured. "People love a good story," Daniel replied, "and this one has the makings of something truly remarkable." Thomas nodded but said no more on the subject. That night, as Daniel reviewed his notes, he couldn't shake the feeling that Thomas knew more than he let on. Determined, he decided to follow Thomas the next day. At dawn, Daniel saw Thomas leaving the bakery with a loaf of bread and heading toward the outskirts of town. Daniel trailed him discreetly, his heart pounding with anticipation. Thomas walked to a small, dilapidated house hidden among the trees. He entered, leaving the door slightly ajar. From his hiding spot, Daniel could see Thomas inside, carefully wrapping small parcels and writing notes on slips of paper. After about an hour, Thomas emerged with a satchel slung over his shoulder. Daniel followed him back into town, watching as Thomas left parcels on doorsteps, slipped envelopes into mailboxes, and placed a bouquet of flowers outside the church. Realization dawned on Daniel. Thomas was the Silent Benefactor. The next morning, Daniel confronted Thomas at the bakery. "I know what you're doing," Daniel said softly. Thomas sighed, his shoulders slumping. "I suppose you want to write about it." Daniel hesitated. "I do, but I don't want to ruin what you've built here. Why do you do it?" Thomas looked out the window, his eyes distant. "Years ago, I was a different man, selfish, arrogant, and blind to the struggles of others. It wasn't until I lost everything that I understood the value of kindness. This town saved me when I had nowhere else to go. I owe them everything." Daniel nodded, understanding the weight of Thomas's words. "Let me tell your story," Daniel said. "Not to expose you, but to inspire others. The world could use more people like you." Thomas considered this for a long moment before finally nodding. If it helps even one person, it's worth it. The article, titled "The Silent Benefactor of Willow Creek," was published a month later. While it didn't reveal Thomas's name, it detailed his acts of kindness and the profound impact they had on the community. The story went viral, inspiring countless readers to perform their own anonymous acts of generosity. Though his secret was out, Thomas continued his quiet mission, knowing that the true power of kindness lay not in recognition, but in the difference it made. And so, the legend of the Silent Benefactor grew. Not just in Willow Creek, but across the world, proving that one person's actions could ignite a movement of compassion and hope.